Hello everybody and welcome to another One Stop Wrestling podcast. I'm Alex and with the Elimination Chamber just finished, I'm going to be bringing you immediate reactions and star ratings for the matches. So the Elimination Chamber PLE has just finished in Perth, Australia, and it was a very solid show up and down the card. Nothing spectacular, but very solid matches all the way through. So we'll get straight into it. 4 matches. The first one was the Women's Elimination Chamber match, where the winner would face the Women's World Champion at WrestleMania. Naomi versus Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan versus Raquel Rodriguez versus Tiffany Stratton versus Bianca Belair. Now, this was a very solid match. I wouldn't say it was anything spectacular. Pretty good match. The main story of the match was Tiffany Stratton. She was the star of the show, really. She's a heel, but she was completely cheered by the Australian crowd. Anytime anybody took her out or got in a move on her, they booed. Anytime she did anything to anybody, they cheered like mad. It was all about Tiffany Stratton, really. She was super over with the crowd. Naomi and Becky started. Tiffany came out next. Huge cheers. Then Liv Morgan. Naomi did a sunset flip type blockbuster move off the top of the pod. And then when she landed, Stratton immediately rolled her up and eliminated her. So Naomi was the first elimination. I mean, it doesn't exactly look great for her. She's only just come back, but it was a cool elimination and it didn't really make her look like she lost anything. You know, she was rolled up really quickly after flying off the top of the pod. Raquel Rodriguez was in next, and she was the sort of monster in the match. She dominated everybody with her power. Then there was a huge spot involving all of the women where, first of all, Liv Morgan dived off the pod onto Raquel Rodriguez, which looked like a luff landing for Liv. Let's hope she didn't suffer any injuries with that one. And then Tiffany Stratton threw Becky Lynch off one of the top of the pods into Raquel, and then Stratton swanton bombed onto the pile to a huge ovation. And then Liv Morgan eliminated Stratton with an Oblivion, which got huge boos and bullshit chants from the crowd. They just were completely behind Tiffany Stratton. I mean, she is a star in the making. I think WWE might take a bit of a slower route with her, but this was a great start. The crowd just loved her. Then Raquel was eliminated with a KOD. The match picked up a bit here. Some really cool final 3 sequences between Liv Morgan, Becky Lynch and Bianca Belair. In the end, Liv rolled up Bianca, and then Becky immediately hit a manhandle slam on Liv to pin her and win the match. As I said, it was a very solid match. I wouldn't say anything spectacular. Becky wasn't really the most popular winner. She was a very obvious winner. I think they've been promoting Becky versus Rhea before the matches even took place. And Becky Lynch was the obvious winner. I don't really know if she's got a lot of steam behind her, and I think Becky is a babyface. I think the crowd could turn on her possibly at WrestleMania, although Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley is a huge star power match, which is what they've been promoting. So we will have to wait and see. My rating for the Women's Elimination Chamber is 3.5 stars. Then on to the tag team title match. Damian Priest and Finn Balor, the champions, defending against Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. And before the match started, the announcer does the entrances for the challengers, and then Dominic Mysterio grabbed the mic to introduce Priest and Balor. And my goodness, the boos. They were deafening. You could barely hear Dom. You could barely hear what he was saying. It was extreme heat, and for somebody to be able to command that much heat in this day and age whilst being a true heel is pretty special, and fair play to Dom. He's a fantastic heel. This match was great. Probably an improvement on the first match of the night. crowd was super into it. It was very fast paced. They didn't really put a foot wrong. Dunn and Bate looked really good in defeat. They hit their big stuff. Double Tiger Driver. They hit a double Burning Hammer, which they called the Birmingham Hammer, being from England, which was really cool. They got a couple of close near falls off of those moves when it looked like they might win the match, which added a lot of drama to it. Really, really good showing for those two. There was a spot early on where Dominic got involved, to huge boos, and then Michael Cole told the ref that he cheated, to which the ref then ejected Dominic, and WWE actually had to black out the screen because Dominic was getting flipped off by everybody in the front row and everybody sort of around him. That's how much of a heel Dom is. Really inventive finish as well, where Dunn and Bate had Priest up in the corner and were going for a double Tiger Driver or some kind of double team move off the top. Balor held onto Priest's leg, and then Priest hit a double South of Heaven chokeslam onto Dunn and Bate, and then Balor immediately hit the coup de grace for the win. Really great match, fast-paced. Dunn and Bate look really, really good. It's exciting to see what's going to happen for those two going forward. But yeah, really solid match, and probably the right result. It would have been a bit of a shock if we had new tag team champions in this one. So we'll give that one 3 3/4 stars. Then we had the Grayson Waller Effect talk show segment. Obviously Grayson Waller is Australian and got a huge reaction. Big Aussie, oi, oi, oi chant going with the crowd. Then we had Seth and Cody come out. Waller was there with Theory as well. Austin Theory got some heat. Waller was over, and then Cody and Seth came out, and they were both super over too. So 2 big announcements really. Seth announces that he's nearly medically cleared to compete, which is great news. Obviously the knee injury may not have been as bad as was first suspected, so Seth is nearly good to go. And then the main talking point from this segment was Cody Rhodes calling out The Rock for a one-on-one match, which is huge news. Whether that will actually happen remains to be seen, but Cody challenged The Rock and called him out to a huge pop. The crowd were firmly behind Cody. There were lots of Rocky sucks chants. Seth then said he has Cody's back. You can't do this on your own one-on-one against the Bloodline because it's never one-on-one. So Seth said he had Cody's back. So this leads me to believe that it could be a tag team match at WrestleMania where Seth and Cody and Roman will pull double duty. Seth will defend the title. Cody and Roman will face off in the main event of night 2, and then maybe the main event of night 1 will be The Rock and Roman versus Cody and Seth. So we will have to wait and see. Theory then got on the mic and did all of The Rock's catchphrases to loads of boos, and then the baby faces took him out while Waller just watched. So, I mean, there was nothing really to it. This segment probably could have been done on Raw, but, you know, Waller is the local guy who was going to get a big reaction, and I suppose Cody did call out The Rock, which was noteworthy. But then we move on to the men's Elimination Chamber match. LA Knight versus Kevin Owens versus Bobby Lashley versus Logan Paul versus Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. This was a really, really good match. I would say it was probably a little bit better than the women's Elimination Chamber. We started off with LA Knight and Drew McIntyre. Kevin Owens then came in, and then it was Bobby Lashley, then Randy Orton, and Logan Paul was last. When Logan Paul tried to come out, Kevin Owens barricaded him in to his pod and just beat the crap out of him, really. There was a good story being told throughout with Owens and Paul's hatred for each other. They tangled quite a few times and really showed their disdain for each other. There was a great spot at the start of the match. While Paul was making his entrance, he stared Owens down, and Owens just started headbutting his pod like a rabid dog just waiting to be unleashed, which was really cool. Randy Orton hit a draping DDT on the outside and really, really sold his back from then to the end of the match. Whether Randy's injured or not, I'm going to guess that he isn't. I think he was just doing some fantastic selling, because it was brilliant. Like, if you ever need a lesson in a sell job, just watch Randy Orton in this match. He made it look like his back was in agony throughout the final stages of the match. So the match hotted up when all 6 were in. Lashley speared Logan Paul through one of the pods, which was an awesome spot. Then he was first eliminated after a Claymore from Drew McIntyre. LA Knight then went on a flurry and hit Orton and McIntyre with a BFT. And then AJ Styles interfered while they were trying to get Lashley out. Laid out LA Knight with a steel chair, and Drew McIntyre pinned him for the elimination of LA Knight. So that looks like it's setting up LA Knight versus AJ Styles, possibly at WrestleMania. We will have to wait and see for that one. The final 4, there were some great sequences. All 4 worked really well together. All 4 hit some big moves on each other. We saw Kevin Owens hit a couple of stunners. Then Randy Orton eliminated KO with an RKO. Then Logan Paul got the brass knucks out while the other 2 men were down. Got himself all fired up. The camera shot was right on Logan Paul's face. And then all of a sudden you just see Randy Orton fly out of nowhere and RKO Paul. It was a brilliant RKO out of nowhere. Great camera work from WWE there. And then that was Logan Paul eliminated. Orton and McIntyre were the final 2. And both were selling really, really well here. Great sell jobs from both men. They made it look like they went through a war. Logan Paul was still sort of slumbered at the edge of the door, waiting to be taken out. Just as Orton hit an RKO, Paul got up, hit Orton in the face with the knucks, and McIntyre just draped an arm over him. And Drew McIntyre is your men's Elimination Chamber winner, and he is going to WrestleMania to face Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship. Like I said, great match. The guys didn't really put a foot wrong. Really, really, really solid wrestling throughout. We'll give that one 4 stars. And the main event was the women's world title match. Rhea Ripley versus Nia Jax. Massive reaction for Rhea Ripley in her home country of Australia. I think it was fitting that these 2 main evented. Rhea Ripley is one of the biggest stars in the company, male or female. She's done some of the best work over the past year, and she deserves this moment. It was a brilliant moment for her to get to see her wrestle in her home country in front of 50,000 people going absolutely wild for her. It's truly deserved. And again, it was a really good match. I wouldn't say it was great. Wasn't like spectacular, but it was really, really good, really solid match. Nia Jax is doing some of the best work of her career at the moment. She is an awesome heel that you just want to see get defeated. She gets real heat. She is a dominator in the ring as well, and she dominated Rhea for the first portion of the match. Rhea tried to mount some comebacks. Eventually it spilled to the outside, and Nia Samoa dropped Rhea onto the table. It didn't quite break, so Nia just hopped onto one of the announce chairs and splashed Rhea through the table, which was a really cool spot. Then she hit the Annihilator, and Rhea kicked out at 2, which was a great near fall after going through the table and then taking Nia Jax's finisher. Both ladies did really well, worked hard. They both played their roles perfectly in this match. Nia was the perfect foil for Rhea in her home country. And huge superplex from Rhea Ripley to Nia Jax, which was really cool. And then a Riptide, which again, props to Rhea. She tried it a few times in the match. Couldn't quite get Jax up, but she eventually did and scored the win. And it will be Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. Huge reaction for Rhea. She celebrated with her family at ringside, and just such a nice moment for Rhea. She really deserves it after the amazing work she's put in over the last year. I would give that match 3 3/4 stars. So there you have it. That was the immediate reactions to Elimination Chamber. Like I said, just a very good show. I wouldn't call it a great show, just very good. Solid matches up and down. Nothing spectacular, nothing that people are going to be talking about in months and years to come, but very solid wrestling. Everybody worked hard, everybody did their jobs well. And great for Australia to get a pay-per-view, and a huge crowd, 50,000+, I think Triple H announced, which was awesome. It looked and felt like a big show, and maybe WWE will continue to do more shows in Australia. So there you have it. That was Elimination Chamber. Thank you to everybody who has listened, and we will see you next time for another One Stop Wrestling podcast.